Recording in progress.
All right, guys. So we are 6 minutes ahead of our time. We have around 20 participants by now. So I think that's good enough to get started. People who have already joined, it's unfair if we make them wait anymore. Nikhil and Shivam, can you please turn on your cameras and mute yourself? And I would request Akansha if you can turn off the screen sharing from your end, so that we can have the speakers in the middle of the screen.
Hi Shivam, hi Nikhil.
Hi Akansha, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Hi,
All right, guys. Okay, so I guess we are at 4:06. So we'll simply get started. Akansha, please help me with anybody who's joining.
Yes.
Turn off your screen share for the moment. Then we'll get started. All right, this looks good.
Just give me 1 second. I think I have to change my laptop. It's running low power. Just give me 1 second.
Sure, Nikhil.
Okay, I'm signing up from this one.
You're audible. You'll have to just quit from the other laptop. All right then. So first of all, sorry for the delay, guys. But hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar organized by MyOperator and Innoscale Global. We have already waited enough for people to join. We have quite a lot of participants here, around 20-25 people who have joined us. More will be falling in, I am assuming, and Akansha will let them in as we speak. And without further ado, let me just introduce you to our speakers for the day. We have Shivam Dikshit with her, who is the Director of Enterprise Sales at MyOperator. And we have Alok Nikhil, the Chief Development Officer at Innoscale Institute of Information Technology, Delhi. As for me, I am Sanat Srivastava, your host for the day, and I take care of marketings and partnerships at MyOperator. So to introduce you guys to our speakers before we get into our major discussion, let's start with Shivam. Shivam has been a first-generation entrepreneur, having previously built companies in technology domain. He has over 12 years of experience in selling technology to businesses ranging from young startups to Fortune 500 companies across industries and geographies. Now, Shivam has also invested in a few startups. He sits on the board of some technology companies and has also been the founding member of notable tech and business communities such as Hack for India, Bootstrap Weekend, Peer Hack, etc. And of course, he's an avid speaker and has delivered multiple sessions on technology and business. Now, talking about Alok, he's the head of the Development and Resource Generation Office at IIIT Delhi, where he oversees the creation of value in technology and research and manages outreach activities for innovation among corporations. Then you have government organizations as well as startups. Now, with his extensive experience in building innovative ecosystems, he played a key role in founding and serving as the CEO of Innovation and Incubation Center at IIIT Delhi, developing the incubation centers of clusters. I would request everybody to just mute themselves as we go ahead with the session. As well as he also conceptualized the incubation of DMZ Canada in India. So he was an advisory member to the Honorable Prime Minister during the creation of entrepreneurship guidelines for India, and currently sits on the research and strategy advisory board of several startups and educational institutions. I welcome you both speakers, Shivam and Alok, to the webinar today. Thank you so much for joining us and sparing your time. You would please unmute yourself throughout the session because it's you, me, and both of us, three of us will be speaking.
Thank you, Sarad. Thank you, Sarad.
All right. So we have, just for the audience, we have, I would say, between us, truckloads of experience dealing with startups and innovation and pushing startups as well as bigger businesses towards growth. So I'll not wait much. I'll just get started with our main session because we have quite a lot of questions to ask and answer. But we also have a Q&A round at the end. So people, you can have your questions and you can keep putting them in the chat. We'll take them up once we are done with the main session towards the end of this webinar. Okay, so I'll just get started with you, Alok. I have a few questions that I'd love to ask you during this webinar as well as Shivam you. So as for Alok, first thing I wanted to get started with you is having mentored and nurtured practically so many startups. I mean, like, since you have been the person who set up the whole entrepreneurship strategy in India, you have worked with so many people. How aware do you think startup founders in India are about the need for strong business communication and the tools that exist for it?
This is a very good question and a very genuine problem. In fact, a good improvement opportunity in the market, because startups, they are aware that they're trying to solve some problem. They can reach what they're trying to solve, but the communication, which is very, very important at every stages, is something they, I would say, do not this, or it's a contribution of all the aspects in our Indian society, wherein whenever we're trying to solve a problem, we try to interpret in our own way and try to communicate the way we are comfortable, not focusing the way my audience, or the audience could be my customer, my vendor, my partner, my investor, the way they would be comfortable as well. So there is a strong need of awareness about the business communication activity, the various tools. So for example, all these kind of communication have their own relevance, but choosing between the right way of communication, the right way of paraphrasing, right way of ensuring we are able to connect in our communication is a strong need. So effective communication is very, very crucial. And this is something people think that they are aware, but once they practice, is not given much priority. I mean, you might have even we witness a lot of pitches happening every day. I mean, at the various, and when we tell them, okay, you have only 5 minutes of time to pitch, you will hardly see any one person finishing in 5 minutes or even less than. Right. They always go beyond that time because that's a lack of planning, the way you have to communicate. So these are very common mistakes, and it's actually a big mistake which I always see that if you are given some time, you should honor that. Try to communicate what you want to communicate within that time frame. So there's strong need of awareness. In fact, about the tools, how to what kind of tool. I mean, voice communication mechanism to be used, or whatever different mechanism or tools which are how to use and where to use this. Actually, there is strong need when everybody have to be sensitized.
That's very fair. So I'll just follow up on that on one small aspect. When we say about tools, people are very well aware about, they want a startup, they need accounting management tool and whatnot. How often have you seen, while you have been dealing with all these startups that come to you in a very early stage, and when they tell, sir, we need this tool, we need that tool, how often do you see them even considering anything for communication per se?
I haven't, practically the tool which in a tech-based startup for the collaboration, people do talk about Slack, they do talk about other collaboration tools, they do talk about the GitHub for the collaboration. So that is again communication in an organized manner when you are talking to your peers within the team. But when I'm going to engage with my customers, anybody hardly talks about any tool. They simply talk about that you want to do an SEO, you want to have a good engagement, you want to have a chat bot. I mean, what for? I mean, at least think something like, I'm not talking to same kind of audience every time. If one customer is a male, other customer is female, we have to plan our communication in that way. And there are things available, but it's never focused. I mean, I hardly have seen any such cases wherein we have had any kind of brainstorming discussion upon a selection of the right kind of tool.
That's very fair. That's something I just wanted to test my understanding if I am also thinking right, and you have just validated it. So Shivam, I'll move on to you for this next piece of advice for startups, or rather, a question that you have dealt with plenty of startups as well as enterprises. Now, what I want to understand from you is, what is the major difference that you have seen between startups and those Fortune 500 companies that you have worked with, that you have consulted, in the communication approach that they take? What is the major big differentiator between these two?
So, thank you for a very generic question. So, I mean, the differences I can pinpoint, but there's a lot of variables depending upon the geography, the size, the nature, the industry of that particular organization, be it a startup or a enterprise, large enterprise. So I'll put a disclaimer that I'll answer within my purely based on my limited experience and biases working with these startups and enterprises. So I can probably summarize this in 2 points. What I have seen is, the first would be that when you say startups versus enterprise, the first is you see agility versus structure. So startups by definition are very agile. The communication way is very open, very informal, and you can say on the enterprise side, the communication is pretty structured. There are certain protocols, there are certain hierarchies. If there's an approval process, it goes through all those L1 to L6, and then it gets approved. Whereas on the startup side, the communication is pretty quick. If somebody asks them a question on Twitter, there's no one person there's only a couple of people who are responsible, and they will answer it right away. So particular with respect to, so this is the communication approach. I believe approach is the word that you mentioned. As far as tools are concerned, the startups that I have worked with and I have built also, I realize that a founder is always looking at having as cheap tools as possible, premium versions if possible. Right. So in the early days, of course, so they go for relatively easy tools, something like a Slack or a WhatsApp. Also, WhatsApp is nowadays very preferred way of communication that's coming up. On the enterprise side, if you will see that the enterprise usually restrain themselves to enterprise products. when I say enterprise product, probably on the customer communication side, it would be a unified communication solutions such as Cisco WebEx or Sprinkler as compared to what we do. So this is the first difference that I see. It's agility versus structure. The second point that I see is the innovation that the startup can bring as compared to the tradition that is being followed in a large organization. So when I say innovation, this recently happened. I was speaking to a unicorn startup, and we told them there's this new offering from WhatsApp, relatively new offering, wherein you can put WABA WhatsApp business APIs, and in literally a few thousands, you are communicating with all your customers on WhatsApp. And that guy has stores pan India. They have over 1,200 plus stores, retail outlets. It's a noted unicorn. They make spectacles, and this was implemented within a span of 1.5 to 2 months. This entire journey implementation of the solution across their retail was implemented within a span of 1.5 to 2 months. Whereas at the same point of time, I was working with a Japanese Fortune 500 consumer durable goods manufacturer that specializes in home appliances, and the journey has just started with them. It's been over 3.5 months. We are still in the approval process. The India team had tried and tested it. Now they've sent it overseas for approvals and processes, and eventually it will. But what I was saying, that innovation versus tradition. ये लोग the startups are pretty good at picking up innovation as compared to the legacy people. And another difference is that they always want things to be integrated. I mean, that's a good thing, but they have their own legacy softwares. If somebody is using a SAP, they will want everything to be integrated to it. And in startup, they since the very nature of their products that they are using is relatively cheaper, usually the products are standalone in nature, and they are also open to try new products. If a startup if I go to a startup and I say this is for a few $1,000, do you want to buy it? They'll buy from me. But next month, if somebody comes and says, boss, I'll give you at a better price, they'll switch me. As far as an enterprise is concerned, if I tell them this is a communication tool, and they'll take 6 long months for integrating it with their ecosystem, and if somebody comes and says I'll offer you better price, they'll say, oh, it's okay. It'll take the entire the time that they invest is they won't be able to do it until and unless I do a major blunder. They won't switch vendors easily. So that's startups can offer much personalized experience also in communication. On the enterprise side, it's pretty standardized. You'll get you go to a customer call center or you ping someone. You'll get a very standard reply from the customers. But startups are very innovative. Try pinging Blinkit or Zomato. They personalize their replies. So that's another difference that I'm seeing from the startup versus enterprise POV.
That's quite a lot of insightful difference, I would rather say, because you have just put it into perspective, which probably most of us might be knowing here and there that this could be different, that could be different. But as you mentioned, startups at an early stage, they definitely look for cheap things, as cheap as it is, and if it is free, then so nothing like it. You give me something.
There's no harm in that. I mean, that is the religion what a startup founder should follow. He should be as frugal as he could be. Beg, borrow, steal. That's how he builds an organization, right?
For sure. So now I'll just take this up with Alok, and I'll come back to you on the same point. That Alok, how do you think in terms of we have talked about enterprise versus startup. Now within the startup, there are now two major differences that we have seen, or two major communities if you call it. One is the early stage startup, non-funded, at max, angel invested or seed funded, pre-seed, whatsoever. And then you have funded startup, A, B, C, all those series, right? So funded startups have quite a lot of money. They are not really worried about free stuff anymore, even though that is what they were doing even 1 month before they got funded. So how do you think, how relevant is voice as a communication medium like IVR and telephony? And then there is SMS, and then there is WhatsApp. So voice, SMS, WhatsApp. How relevant are these channels when you talk about early stage? And then how relevant are they for the funded startup, and which one do they go for in your understanding?
Sanat, I lost in between. Can you read out the question?
Yeah, sure. I'm just saying that as for funded startups and non-funded startups, voice, chat means SMS. So voice, SMS, and WhatsApp, which is the most prevalent channel of communication in your understanding for a early stage startup and for a funded startup?
So I would say that, the choice of a channel, it depends also upon the purpose. I mean, what kind of purpose, what kind of engagement we are talking about. For example, if we are talking about some kind of support services, so obviously WhatsApp provides a good support service. If you want to have some kind of status updates or maybe kind of continuous engagement, voice channel can be better in that sense. So like Shivam rightly mentioned, based on the evolution of the startup in terms of early or the late stage, these channels also we have to think about the kind of purpose, what we are talking about. So I mean, it's more lies towards the purpose, and obviously sometimes when there are tools which are available. So for example, during COVID, there are many startups who have started their these kind of channels on the Telegram for setting up the communication. Now, WhatsApp has certain limitation in the number of people to be supported, and Telegram gave that kind of freedom. So even the companies which have raised fund, but they're mostly into the logistics and support kind of activities, they have started in that manner. So I would openly go on the kind of purpose. If we have some purpose, based on that, the startups who have raised some funds, they try to think in a manner wherein they actually honor process, they honor a kind of approach, follow some kind of SOPs, which is which I have seen and which happens. And at the early stage, we try to take all the kind of benefits. We have to get the thing done and should be stable in some or the other manner.
All right. So on the same front, as I mentioned in the Shivam, what is your outlook on this? So as far as Alok is concerned, it's purpose driven irrespective of funded or non-funded. How do you agree to this thing, Shivam? That it's based on purpose and not really on the funding stage?
Right. So Alok is very right in saying that. I would just like to add that apart from the purpose, there's a lot of other factors as well. For example, what is the industry that the guy is operating? What is the geography that he is operating in? What is the nature of business, whether it is D2C or B2B? So there are certain factors that, of course, including the one that Alok spoke about. So just to give you an example, I mean, when you talk about, you mentioned 3 channels, right? Voice communication, SMSs, and WhatsApp. Yes. So when you talk about, let's say WhatsApp, what happens with WhatsApp is in the US geography, it's not that the penetration is not that great. More leaving the NRIs, majority of Americans are inclined towards using iMessages. If you'll go do a quick market research, you'll know that iMessages is more prevalent there as compared to an Indian geography, wherein whatever is free is good to. I mean, Android supported है, कोई problem नहीं है. So WhatsApp is a thing of choice in India. So it depends geography to geography. The question that you asked was, sorry, I forgot the question. It was between angel funded companies and non-funded companies.
Depending upon the funding, does it change? Does the preferences change? Or is it like?
I doubt. However, between the 3 that you mentioned, I can tell you that SMS is already dying. Even if you see the present scenario, you would not want to see any other SMS apart from the transaction SMS that you get, the OTPs. And that too,
Right.
we are taking on to WhatsApp. You'll get WhatsApp OTP on WhatsApp also in the near future. So SMS is a dying thing. Now between the call and WhatsApp, if I compare and break it down, I see a lot of unfair advantage with WhatsApp. Why? Who is here? Yes. So why I see an unfair advantage on between WhatsApp and call is because when you, let's say, cold call someone, it's just for that particular instant that he's seeing you on the screen. And it depends entirely on that particular 1 minute of exposure time, whether the other person is free or not, basis that he will take your call or he will not take your call. But when you send somebody a WhatsApp message, the exposure time is, let's say, 24 hours. You are there in his mind space, in his WhatsApp message box. Whenever he sees, he has a choice to respond or to not respond. That's fair. But the exposure time is 24 hours. If you can send a campaign as compared to a call. For call, you have to immediately get on the call and say hi. If not, then he'll probably call you some other day. And eventually the exposure time for a call is a couple of minutes as compared to WhatsApp. So that's a major unfair advantage. And second, what I see is now with WhatsApp Pay coming in, there are certain young startups that have taken the complete journey right from customer acquisition to customer growth to customer retention to payments, everything on WhatsApp, bot operated. So let's say if you are selling a mouse, you would say, hi, I want to buy a mouse. They will send you a catalog on the WhatsApp. You'll select the mouse. They will ask you certain questions. You'll answer those questions, address and everything. And then they'll send you a payment WhatsApp pay link and you'll pay and the transaction is done. This is 100% automated. Very similar to what e-commerce was doing. WhatsApp is pretty much more convenient. Presently, if you talk about me, I use WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the most used app in my phone. I use it for communication more than I use phone calls because it's non-intrusive. You are not poking someone. Calls seem a bit more intrusive. And so between the three, if you ask me, WhatsApp, then calls, and then SMS.
All right. So now we have established, I feel, with what you have said, that WhatsApp is the communication platform that will take over most of the other platforms in the coming days. So before I ask the same question to Alok, I'll just take, in addition to what you have said, how do you think startups, like, let's talk about actionable points. How do you think startups can leverage WhatsApp for maximum exposure, maximum outreach, and business generation?
Okay. So WhatsApp, so I'll break this answer into three parts, right? A startup can leverage WhatsApp for three distinct functions. One is acquisition, the second is growth, and the third is retention. I'm speaking strictly from the point of a customer journey. And I'll give you examples how. So when you talk about acquisition, when you talk about customer acquisition, I'll give you 3-4 examples. There's something called as WhatsApp bots. Presently, people use chatbots on their websites. They can replace the chatbot with a WhatsApp bot. Now, what this does is when you go to the WhatsApp bot and say hi, at the other end, the business is already getting your phone number. So you are converting the visitors into leads. It's not a regular chat that is happening. The other party already has your phone number. Now he can always approach you. So you are converting your visitors into a lead. That is one way of acquiring customers. The second way is QR codes. Let's say, and it's applicable to different use cases. Let's say let's take an use case of an exhibition. When you go to an exhibition and if it's overcrowded and you are exhibiting and you are not able to attend to every prospect or a customer that comes your way, you can probably put up a LED TV with a QR code and say, just scan and say hi and we'll share your catalog. The bot will do it instantly. But again, you have converted your visitor whom you were not able to give a second of your time into a lead because you now have his phone number on your mobile phone and you already have a engagement going on the WhatsApp. The third is click to, so now if you see ads on Instagram and Facebook, there's a click to WhatsApp. So now if you click on the ad, you don't go to the Instagram page or the Facebook page. I mean, if you're on the Instagram, you don't go to the particular website, rather you are redirected to a WhatsApp number. So that, hi, I'm interested in this dress or in this accessory, in this gadget. You press send and the number goes there, and you've converted a person into a lead. If you have somebody's number, that's actually the wealth. You can cold call them. You can probably use other tens of other medium. Recently, I suggested this to one of our customers. They were getting, isse pehle, the thing that I was discussing just before this, they were getting SMSs, OTPs on SMSs. I told them, don't do this. Ask, instead get OTPs on WhatsApp, because it established the first level of contact on WhatsApp. Once you have a contact on WhatsApp, you can already send them, if you have a transactional message, if you have a relationship with a transactional message on WhatsApp, you can probably send them a lot of material, marketing material, collaterals, feedback forms, whatever, and they will recognize because they've already got a transaction message. But that needs to be done in a civic and ethical manner. You cannot just bombard anyone. So within the limits of common sense and situational wisdom, if somebody is able to tap into that, converting the visitors into leads, that's nothing like it. And that's only from the acquisition point that I'm speaking about. When I talk about the growth channel, there's a lot of things that can be done. There are push offer messages. If you're buying something, you can push that you can also buy as a bundle. Then if there's some item abandoned in a cart, you can probably send them on an e-commerce card. You can send them WhatsApp message saying, boss, you were buying this, what happened? Is there something we can do to help you? There's a discount, 20% discount going on. There's a Diwali festival coming up. We are restocking. We have a better version, whatever marketing gimmick you want to play with. Then you can retarget the consumer behavior again, so that you are able to generate revenue, grow the revenue from the same customer. And as far as retention is concerned, reordering is a very powerful. For my kids, if I buy a diaper and every month they realize that I would require the diaper pack, and they send me a reminder on WhatsApp, hey, your kid's diaper might be expiring. Why don't you buy a new one? Here's the link, and we are offering you additional 5% discount. So I would think, I would be happy to do it, because at the end of the day, you always realize, oh shit, it's late at night and we are running short of diapers. So that's one example. There could be a lot of items like that. And then for retention, there should be feedbacks as well. So feedback messages and converting customer satisfaction into customer delight, that can be very well driven. And the journey that I mentioned before, that you can actually create the entire customer story, right from acquisition to growth to retention to payment, and to probably without any human intervention, you can actually drive the entire journey for some specific use cases. And if you are able to simplify it, so for example, I might not want to attend a sales call in the morning or in the afternoon, but I need that particular material. And at 11 p.m. in the night, while I am sitting down on my bed and I'm browsing WhatsApp and I see the message and I click on the message, I might just make that payment. So that's what I'm trying to say.
That's actually like everything you have summed it up, in that through that user journey. I think every startup here in this meeting right now would be aware that they are trying to do something of that sort, and they are somewhere or the other in that situation. However, Alok, there is this interesting question that comes to my mind, that we are, Shivam explained it very nicely. This is what all a startup can do. But when startups come to you, since you are somebody who incubates them, accelerates them, can help them get funds, can mentor them, give them consultations, how clear are they with this kind of model, with WhatsApp being out there for, I guess, forever? And like, as old as I am, I have been using WhatsApp forever. So do people come to you with this clarity, or are they just lost, still looking at SMS, still looking at calls?
So first of all, Shivam explained very beautifully, and he explained complete customer journey map. For any startup, when they're aware about the full journey map of their engagement, they try to use whatever resources are available. However, WhatsApp also evolved over the time. So some features were not there, but now the features are there. So like one of the point was mentioned, like D2C kind of companies. So when they try to reach out, so there's a company which is actually selling their hemp-based items across India and across different countries. And to maintain their clientele, the customers, they are not using any kind of such engagement tool, which is very, very friendly, very easy to use. They're still following their traditional approach of creating their e-commerce website or using existing aggregator platforms, and then connecting through those kind of chatbots. So now, why I mentioned this case? Because this difference. Now, this gentleman who has been into this business since 3 to 4 years now is actually very comfortable in the way he is operating, and over the time, when things are evolving, that flexibility to go and attach to this thing is something challenging for him, because he is not a technical guy. He don't want to put his efforts into this, and just keeps on focusing only on the sales part. And with the sales part, whatever, obviously, you have to look at all the aspects, whatever things are coming up over the time. So I see this as a challenge, because I very clear-cut know about this case, who is actually not ready to adapt to the new things coming up because of his own limitations and own so-called way and style of working. And a stable revenue is coming. A couple of rounds has been raised. The customers are sitting very happy everywhere, and they are just actually not interested. But this is not a fair thing to do. I mean, obviously, if you are trying to get the kind of audience, you have to be very fair. So coming back to the question precisely, many times they know what to do, but in terms of how to do is something not everybody is very much clear. There we try to have arrange meetups or collaborations with our knowledge, or finding the experts, try to build up these things, because the customer journey map is a map. Once they come with one kind of aspirational map or ambitious map, this is how it has to work. And on the field actually doesn't work like this, because of many good things may happen, many not so good things may happen. So to be precise, they are not very clear with their communication strategy. They are not very much focused unless it is a hardcore a D2C kind of platform wherein they are trying to reach out to the audience. But again, this based on the audience, based on whatever circle they are targeting, that maturity still does not exist. I mean, whatever kind of startups we have been seeing, and I think the way Shivam has explained everything. So these kind of things still need to be sensitized to them. With the new APIs coming in, the business platform, you can create your catalog, and everything is done in a couple of minutes. There are workshops being done about this on the radios. I have heard, but they are also facilitating. But it's like that awareness is not there.
Right. So that's the thing that I wanted to know. When people come to you and when they're coming with their plans. Okay, so I'll extend that question before we move on to the Q&A session. We have a couple of minutes left. I just want to know that when somebody is coming in the new age startups today, when they come to you for any sort of help, for any sort of incubation and whatnot, how much does it matter to you that they include some sort of communication strategy, be it WhatsApp driven, be it voice driven, while you're evaluating them, to incubate them, to help them fund and whatnot?
So, to be very frank, whenever we evaluate startups, so generally at the incubation stage, the startups are at an early stage. Or if they are some of them at a mature stage, they have their own strategy. And during our standard pitch deck process or standard evaluation process, the way they are going to engage is not prioritized that much. And sometimes it is, I would say, it's a mistake at our end as well. Because that strategy, we talk about go to market, we talk about how you are doing now, how you will be doing at this stage, but what exactly is going to happen, there's no clear cut micro level visibility being asked about the communication strategy. However, when we talk about accelerator based platform wherein the startups at not so early stage, they have raised a couple of rounds, there this communication channel is always focused. We always emphasize that whatever you are quoting or whatever you are doing, how you are doing it. And then there are a couple of brainstorming wherein we actually, you know, act as a devil sometimes, that if you are doing this, why not doing this, or why you are doing this. Help them to brainstorm with them, wherein the strategy has to be sound enough. But like I mentioned a little earlier, that many of these tools are evolving over the time. So even in the, if you talk about a lot of chat platform or Slack, what everybody uses, then many other open source tools are available. So if one organization is doing this, the other maybe in the similar domain might not be aware about something like this also exists. So their kind of meetups and collaborations are helpful. However, I would say that at the later stage, incubators should ask. In fact, at the when they're accelerating somebody at the scaling stage, they should have the clear-cut strategy for the communication. But at incubation also, this should be involved. So currently, I mean, during my experience of the incubation, we have definitely not focused that much. But I think this is the area wherein every incubator, every startup should have a communication plan in place.
That's very fair. So I think now we have something added to your list of checklists when you are evaluating a startup, probably helping them out.
Certainly.
So if nothing, the webinar is at least fruitful in one sense for sure. Okay. So since we are already in the last 15 minutes of the webinar time, I'll just take a moment to see if there are any questions. We have one from Swapnil. It's a question not entirely regarding the communication strategies, but it's a use case which I think probably other people might be encountering. So Shivam, this is for you. Again, this is not related to communications. The question says, how to deal with a situation where a client says, just ask to leave all the paperwork for formalities and contract and go further with the project. And once the work is done, then they are denied the amount or the price, saying that it was high cost and whatnot. Basically, a situation where you don't sign any contract, you don't do any communication. It is at the end of the day communication again. You are not clear with your communication. You're not doing the proper emailing. You're not keeping any track of all those formalities. And then when the client backs out, how do people deal with those kind of situations? What do people do as a startup?
So, this is a very common thing that is that has started shaping up recently with freelancers and relatively young startups who have little or no exposure or understanding of the importance of having a formal communication. Probably in this case, there are two things that you can do. The first one is if you think that you can establish that there has been some sort of a verbal agreement with the person, with the end customer, that you would be paid this much, then you'll have to have a chain of events summarizing how and when that discussion took place. If you have some call recordings or call logs, basis that you will have to establish. If you establish a chain of events, you can go and file a complaint in the consumer court for the sum that you were promised. So this is the first step. The second step is that before doing that, you get to a lawyer. You get rather don't go to a lawyer. Go to ChatGPT. You must be a freelancer. Go to ChatGPT. Ask it to file write a legal notice for a customer who has not paid this amount, and this is the conversation. And it will write it formally. Get a domain legal@yourcompanyname.com. From the legal@yourcompanyname.com, shoot it to all the directors of that organization. Name them in the legal notice that this is a prepayment notice. You being an If you are a registered entity, if you are a SME, if you are registered with the MSME, then there are provisions that the end customer needs to pay you within 45 days. They cannot extend that time frame. That's a law. So you can cite that, and you can just create hoopla and hope that he will pay you. Otherwise, you'll have to think that it's something that you paid for learning, that you should not do this again. At least have something in writing. Alok, if you'd like to add something.
No, I am very well explained about that.
Any other
No,
questions?
Yeah, so I think that has been answered for Swapnil. How can he really feel sad for you, Swapnil, if you went through this for real. However, these are the resolutions that Shivam has offered, which we take up. Dilip, feel free to write your question.
Yeah,
Hi.
can I speak or
Sure. Please take the stage.
Yeah, so my question, Shubham, is to you. Basically, I have just few months back, a couple of months back, I thought and make my mind to start up to do a startup. Although I have experience of 12 years into the big fours and recently the startup as well. So I have recently started a business which is a product, right? So my question is to you, how should I focus? Whether my focus should be on B2C more or B2B more? Because I am a little bit dicey into that because the product is unique, and so that's why what all factors I need to consider to decide what is my focus area. It can be a B2B or it can be a B2C, right?
Thank you, Dilip, for the question. So again, it's a very generic question. It would be very difficult for me to tell you what is right and what is not right at this stage. Probably, if I were you and I would have left my 12 years of Big Four career, I would have focused. If I were you, so this is I'm telling, if I were you, then I would have focused on my core competencies, whether my expertise is into selling B2B or selling B2C, and that's how I would have shaped up the product. I would not have relied on any secondary help until and unless I was pretty sure that I'm going to get it. And why I say that is, at the end of the day, there are only two hands that will come to your aid, and that yahin se aate hain, from your own shoulders. Nobody else is going to help you. So you need to be 100% sure about your core competencies. If you are good with enterprises, please go for B2B. Try your hands at B2B. It's a relatively longer sales cycle with B2B, probably 3 to 6 months on a typical average, depending upon the nature of the product. But if you get into it, a single enterprise customer might be able to help you with a decent runway for you to survive. And especially a startup in the B2B space, what's usually done is you ask an enterprise to try a pilot with you. They do a pilot, do a paid pilot. I don't know the nature of your product, if it's a tech product or
It's basically a rice, a specific nutritious rice, which is grown into a particular location.
It's an FMCG product at the
Yeah. And just to tell you about myself, I was more into the consulting, so it is altogether a 360-degree move from my side.
Understood. So probably you should go and meet a lot of D2C, I mean, entrepreneurs who are into FMCG space. I mean, since you are from the consulting background, find your friends. A lot of people are doing new age, high diet, high protein and high nutrition diets these days.
Right.
Black rice and brown rice and all types of rice. So probably you can, if you want, I can connect you a couple of people who are doing this, who are in my circle. Happy to connect you with them. You can probably take their time and understand their journey, how it has fared so far, what is the what have been their challenges and roadblocks. And I mean, I'm not the right guy to for that. I have been into tech
Yeah,
domain only so far.
no problem, no
That's
problem.
not. But I'll be happy to connect in case if it helps.
Yeah, sure, sure. Surely I would like to connect with them. Thank you. Thank you so
Alok, by
much.
the way, on that, the same question that Dilip asked, pretty sure people must be coming to you, and we'll just wind up the webinar with this question and probably one more, that people
Sir,
must be
I have a
coming to you when
question.
they are, yeah, yeah,
Sir, I have a question.
yeah,
We have we are a agri startup. We are actually into a farming, and we are a FPO, and we have around 1,765 farmers attached with us. We though have collected the mobile numbers of all the farmers and WhatsApp numbers of all the farmers. We have confirmed what all are a WhatsApp number and what are normal numbers, which doesn't have this facility. We have compiled this list of it, and we are trying to penetrate so that we can engage our farmers with the organization. And we are finding it really very tough. So when we got the message of this webinar, so I was thinking that something which we were getting blocked, we will get an idea how to open up,
Right,
possibly more
right.
idea how to engage my farming community into the business. Right? Since
Fair
we are
enough.
an FPO, and in this whole meeting, I was a bit confused. So I thought like I'll ask personally, like how to go about, because something was I was not getting it actually altogether. To be more fair with you.
So got it, got it. But I'm sure I'll just take 2-3 minutes to explain the journey of WhatsApp in India. If you want to leverage WhatsApp, I'll tell you how what's happening with WhatsApp. When WhatsApp first came, it was simple WhatsApp, wherein you and I can communicate on a personal level. Then WhatsApp started something known as WhatsApp Business because it faced certain limitations on the personal chats that you cannot have your catalog, you cannot have auto replies, you cannot set timings, you cannot share your website. So it created something known as WhatsApp Business. Then there were certain limitations attached to WhatsApp Business as well. For example, if you have 1760 farmers, you cannot message them at once using the WhatsApp Business. It becomes a challenge, and certain other roadblocks. There's no WhatsApp bot that can reply if you want to collect certain feedbacks, or if you want to probably share some offers or automate things. It was not possible using WhatsApp Business. So the third product came. So first was WhatsApp, the second was WhatsApp Business, and the third product is WhatsApp Business APIs. WhatsApp recently in
WhatsApp
2021,
business
APIs.
API,
Yes.
A for
So
aeroplane.
A for aeroplane, P for parrot, and I for India, right? So
Okay,
WhatsApp
API.
Business APIs is something that WhatsApp does not give directly to the consumers or to the businesses. It has assigned certain business solution providers, which is called BSPs. BSP. So WhatsApp has assigned certain companies like MyOperator, who's in BSP, to probably create a platform around and share it with businesses who would like to leverage WhatsApp in full strength. So using this WABA facility, WhatsApp Business APIs facility, you can do a lot of things. I mean, right from payment collection to sending it to multiple people, creating your e-commerce cart, a lot is possible. So what I can do is I can ask someone who can explain you feature by feature and create a use case with you, give you personally 30 minutes or an hour to help you figure out how your business can help and benefit from WhatsApp. I can do that.
It would be great, sir, because at this present time, educated people like you, have to actually, extend your hand towards rural India. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to build.
Definitely.
21st
Would be
century
happy to
would
do
be
that. No,
welcome.
no,
Thank
we
you
are very
very much.
happy to do that.
Thank
So,
you very
Samir, do
much,
we
sir.
have Awad's number?
Yeah, we will surely be having that in one of our registrations whenever registered.
Perfect. Thank you.
Or
Thank
Dilip
you.
and Avad, you can always find Nikhil or Alok, Nikhil, Alok, and Shivam on
Somebody,
LinkedIn.
yeah.
Very easily to find. So you can go there, just ping them, say hi, and ask any other questions that you have. And Shivam and Alok will be more than happy to help you on that front. Right. So as the time comes to a close, we won't be able to take any more questions as of now, though. I'll just
If
finish
you
what
want,
I
you can
started.
just put the questions in the question box. In case somebody has any other questions, we can take it offline separately.
Yes, for sure. We'll be more than happy to do that. I'll just wind up what I started with Alok before Avad asked his question. That Alok, when Dilip asked that should I go for B2B or B2C, I'm just assuming that a lot of people who come to you asking for help, asking for incubation, the kind of startups who come to you, these people would definitely have this question, sir. I have a product, I have everything in place, I think, but I don't know who to market it to. I think I have a product, but I don't know who to sell it to. So what is your reply in that case? You can unmute yourself, Nikhil.
Yes, like, Shivam also mentioned evaluating your strength. So we do get startups, who are not too sure what kind of approach to be followed. So wherein we start with evaluating the strengths and the weakness, the available networks, what kind of product it is, what kind of market they are going to go, what is the kind of product pricing they are targeting, so uh, so it actually depends upon overall these kind of inputs. So once we have those inputs, so let's say if we consider, I'll make some assumptions about the rice product, what Dilip has mentioned. Now, if it is a kind of a niche product or a specialized product, which some business guy can buy it and then do all the packaging stuff and many other processing further to that. So then what is the strength, whatever area he is based out, how many companies are available, whether government is there to support any kind of those schemes through which they can take it to the big these marketeers. So we actually do a complete take out a lot of Q&A and the brainstorming together. So we actually get ourselves involved. It's not a 5-10 minute discussion. It goes to an hour and a half, wherein we then come out with a plan together and with the reason why we are opting this and why we are not prioritizing any other plan. So like with the limited information, it may not be possible. It may not be possible. But again, the key things is the strength of the founder and the co-founders. Their strength in every terms, in terms of their available network, available funds, available experience, and then the kind of product, the market which they are catering. The geographical location, the kind of market, the cost of the product, whether it's going to be the quantity game or the quality game, or how many years would be rate accept. So we do a detailed analysis, and then we do not follow any standard formula around that.
That's of course that's expected, and I think how we can sum up this thing, or a good sentence, a good dialogue to sum up this whole webinar would be what Shivam gave. That at the end of the day, the two hands that are going to help you are going to come from your own shoulders. So which you also mentioned that it all depends on what are the strengths of the founder and the co-founder, and what they will be able to market better, where they will be able to approach better, is where you would love to start and then figure out what best can be done on that front. That said, I'll just thank you both, Shivam and Alok, and everybody else who has joined this webinar. Thank you so much for joining here today. Thank you so much for sparing time. And Nikhil, Alok, as well as Shivam, thank you for giving your valuable insights to our audience over here. Anybody, we have Shivam's as well as Alok's LinkedIn accounts in the chat box. Feel free to ask your questions over there, connect with them, as well as they'll be more than happy to help you over there. So I guess we are getting a few questions.
Thank you, Shivam. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good time. Bye-bye.